Hello, this video is about the algebra overview, or we can say it's the master key to algebra, which describes what algebra is and how to use PEMDAS or the order of operations in order to solve equations and to work with functions in algebra. So first of all, what is algebra? Algebra is about functions, and in algebra we will begin with working with linear functions, then come quadratic, then cubic, then fourth degree, and the dot 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 means that we can have fourth, fifth, whatever, 10th degree, any degree that is more than 3. And all of these examples are called polynomials. So these are all polynomials. Then we usually look at rational functions, and rational functions are the root here is ratio, which means fraction. So if we take two polynomials and divide them, make ratio, polynomial on the top and a different polynomial on the bottom, that would be called polynomial, that would be called a rational function. Then we'll look at exponential and logarithmic functions, and that pretty much sums up all the functions we see in algebra. So algebra deals with these ideas, and to decide if something is a function versus something that is not a function, we use what is known as vertical line test. Vertical line test, and how it works is described in a different video. For now, this is just the name and the method, how to distinguish what goes into the algebra versus what does not. Now, when we work with algebra, we have usually a sequence, some kind of operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and some of these functions that connect that are in that question as well. And so the order of operations, how to do things and in which order, makes a huge difference. So the next thing to discuss is the order of operations, which is PEMDAS. And PEMDAS simply helps us to work with the functions that we will encounter in algebra. So PEMDAS simply stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So these are colored differently because the order makes a difference, but multiplication and division can be done in any order. Division can be done before multiplication. And also, addition and subtraction can be done in any order. Subtraction can be done before addition if it is easier. But addition should not be done before the division, and division should not be done before parentheses. And that's what the coloring is for. So the first step when we get the question is always to simplify. And so this is what the first arrow stands for, is to simplify. And we begin at the top and we work our way down. And if it is possible to do the operation, we do the operation. If it's not possible, or if it's not in the question, we simply skip it. And we work that way until we get to the very bottom. So let's make up a question and we will practice it in a few minutes. So let's say we want to solve a question. Let's say it is 3 times x plus 4 minus 5x plus 9 is equal to 10. Now I just made up this question, so the answer to it would be a surprise to me and you, and that's a good practice. So the first thing we will do is we will use PEMDAS to simplify this expression. Once we are done, then comes the second step, and the second step is to solve the remaining question using the inverse operations, and the inverse operations cancel the original. The inverse functions cancel the original. So the multiplication and division happens to be also inverse functions. That's another reason why they are colored the same. If we multiply something, let's say double something, and then divide it in half, we're back to where we started. Addition, subtraction also are inverse functions. If we add something and then subtract the same amount, we're back to where we started. So we will use these operations to clean whatever is left and get to the x. Just like in the pirate's map, x marks the spot that we're looking for, and we can think of this as a game where the x is hiding with all of these operations that are with the x, and the game is to undo all the operations and uncover this hidden treasure, which is called x, whatever it happens to be. Now, on the side here is a mnemonic device to help us memorize PEMDAS. One of them is to remember the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," which corresponds to the front letters of the parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So as soon as we remember this phrase, we can convert it back into the math operations. So now let's use this technique to solve this first equation, and let's see what we get. So step one is parentheses. Inside the parentheses, there is nothing that we can do, so we move on to the next. Exponents. There are no little powers above the numbers or letters, so we don't have any of those. Multiplication. Multiplication is between letters and numbers, so here we have multiplication between 5 and x. We also have multiplication between numbers and parentheses, which is between 3 and x plus 4. Now 5 times x is already one term, we cannot do anything else. 3 times x plus 4 we can do, we can multiply through, that makes 3x plus 12. And then we copy the rest of the question, minus 5x plus 9 is 10. That concludes our parentheses, exponents, multiplication. There is no division in the question, so we move on further. Addition. Now we only add the terms that are always true. 3x minus 5x will always be the same no matter what x is, because 3 of these things minus 5 of them makes minus 2 of them, whatever they are. 12 plus 9 happens to be 21. So that concludes our addition and subtraction. At this point, the simplification is finished. Now we'll look at the result and we ask ourselves what operations are remaining and what operations can undo them. What are the inverses that go with what we have left? So we have two things left. We have a plus, which is addition. We also have a multiplication between the two, -2 and the x. So we undo this in reverse order. We start at the bottom, and the first thing we come across is plus. So the first thing to cancel is plus, using its inverse, which is minus. Whatever we do into one side, we also do on the other side to preserve equality. So we minus 21 from both sides, and that cancels 21, making -2x equals to -11. And now the only thing left to do is cancel times by -2. To cancel the multiplication, we use division by exactly the same number. So we divide both sides by -2, and that makes x equals 11/2. And that is the final answer to our question. And this is how to use the order of operations, or PEMDAS, to solve the equations. We also use the same technique to solve inequalities. We also, when we work with these functions, we will notice that the exponents will undo the root powers. Also, exponents and logarithms are inverses, so when we see exponential functions, we will be able to solve them using logarithmic. And when we see logarithmic functions, we'll be able to solve them using exponential. And that is what algebra is about in a brief overview. These are the functions that it covers, and PEMDAS is the main method for how to work with these functions within the algebra class. And you will find other videos on the algebra topics on this channel. If you have any questions on anything, please let me know, and thank you for your time. Take care.